having hot flashes. This video is my top 10 tips for dating, because I feel like with an autoimmune disease, you really need to take a lot more precautions than just going out on a date. You know what I mean? But you are nervous about your disease more than the actual date itself, which is not exactly how you should be feeling. You know, you should be having those butterflies and this like nervous, fluttery feeling, and you're excited to see the person and not panicking thinking, oh my god, what if I have like a disease situation or an autoimmune disease situation where like I need to run to the bathroom, or what if this happens, or what if that happens. And these tips kind of help my process whenever I go on dates. And now that I am in a very loving relationship, it's very easy to talk to my partner about having like a romantic side with my Crohn's disease, as weird as that sounds. And I think I wouldn't have been so relaxed on our first date if I didn't go through these steps myself. So let's just get started. The first tip is to take the proper medications. Specifically for Crohn's disease, you can take an antidiuretic before the date, so you don't need to worry about any incidences during the date. You can go ahead and talk to your doctor about that. That's something my doctor told me. Other options would be your pain medication. However, you don't want to be all wonky during the date. And lactose pills if you are going to go to the coffee shop or something like that. It's always good to have any like dietary things with you. Instead of carrying your medication like this and have it all jingly in your purse, I highly recommend getting a little pill holder. This says Happy Pills, and your medication just fits in here. You can just shove it in your pocket, because men have really large pockets, or you can fit it into a clutch. And as long as you know what pill is what in this little container, I highly recommend that. You can find these anywhere. I found this one at Francesca's, which is like a clothing boutique, and then another one I have to find it, is like a round thing, and it's Caravaggio's Medusa, and I got that in Italy at the museum where that painting is. And I just thought it was so funny, and it holds my migraine medication. I'll post a picture of it somewhere so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But I feel like that painting is so suitable to hold my migraine medication. I don't know, I just think it's hilarious. Okay, tip 2 is to choose fiber-filling foods. As you progress through your disease, I personally feel like fiber-filling foods are the best kind of foods, and I will get to that into a completely different situation in a completely different video. But if you are going to drink alcohol on this date and you feel like you're capable of drinking alcohol, you want to have products in your stomach that help absorb and help deal with alcohol. Fiber-filling foods is also a lot slower to digest, so if you're really worried about running to the bathroom immediately, I highly recommend something that is going to take a while making its way down. But at the same time, if you know that you can't have it, then just ignore this step. 3, no inflammatory foods. And I know that I just said eat fiber, but I'm speaking specifically about dairy and gluten. If those two things are issues for you, don't eat it during the date, because you will feel horrible throughout the date. Dairy and gluten are the 2 most inflammatory foods of them all, and so you really need to know your body well enough. So for example, if you go to a coffee shop, you have the option of getting a latte with coconut milk or almond milk, or an Americano. Make the decision on what lactose level your body can handle. If you are more than comfortable drinking a latte and you know that it won't upset you, great, do it. If you know that you absolutely can't, take an Americano or just black coffee or something, and that's just coffee and water. You know, that's not going to upset you as much. It's really just making smart choices. Choose the restaurant and location. So you can do a coffee shop or a Mexican restaurant or American food restaurant. Choose the place that best suits your dietary needs. With this, you do kind of want to negotiate. However, if this person is totally fine with whatever, then really take advantage of that. For me, I love burgers and I love like chicken sandwiches or anything like that, something very filling and very simple. And I know that my body really does well on that. And so I asked if we can go to a burger place. The next tip kind of goes along with that, and that's number 5, choose the time. If you wake up and you feel horrible, then maybe don't have a morning date like breakfast or coffee. You can have an afternoon coffee, or if you feel horrible at dinner, see if both of you guys can coordinate like a lunch date. Things like that you can really work around your disease. Number 6 is what to wear. For me, whenever I eat, whenever I just like breathe air, I bloat, and that's totally normal and totally fine. And I have just a couple of recommendations of clothing items that you can wear. So for girls, shift dresses do 2 things in once. One, you look very nice because you're wearing a dress, but also since it's supposed to be baggy and kind of like have a mind of its own move, it's not going to show that you look 3 months pregnant after having like 1 potato chip. If you don't know what a shift dress is, this is like kind of the same thing. It's essentially an unfitted shirt. So as you can see, this is a nice sweater, but it's not fitting me, and I could be super skinny down here or I can be super bloated and nobody will ever know. For men, I highly recommend Henley shirts, and those are the ones that have not a collar, but they have like 3 or 4 buttons right here. I really like those. I find that they kind of give the same illusion of a shift dress, if you will. And then also choosing the right shoes. You know, if you have rheumatoid arthritis and your ankles really suffer the most, then maybe heels isn't the best option. So again, you need to play around with your disease, whatever you're most comfortable in. But those 2 clothing items, like a shift dress or kind of a hanging loose t-shirt or a Henley shirt, that I think would make you feel very comfortable. 7, which is my favorite, is to create a pump up playlist. Spotify makes this so much easier because they have pre-made playlists. No, this is not sponsored. I really like the playlist called Confident. It's super fun, and it just has a lot of songs that make you want to dance to it and sing to it. And I feel like getting in the zone of not worrying about your disease but just wanting to have fun, that's a really good playlist to listen to, and kind of gets you ready for a fun time. 8, experimenting with alcohol on the first date is not recommended. I really suggest avoid or limit alcohol as much as you can. If you know that you can handle it and you're totally fine, then do it. But I get very sick when I drink alcohol sometimes, and that's not the kind of impression I want to make on my first date. So I kind of just saved it for a couple dates in. But like, he calls me one marg Melissa, and if that doesn't show you my alcohol tolerance, then I don't know what does. 6 is to have a backup plan. I know that this is gonna sound super weird, but if you're a girl and you're carrying a little clutch or a little purse or whatever, you can like just shove another piece of underwear in there and a wet wipe and a rollerball perfume, and you're pretty good to go. I know that seems really weird, and if you're super paranoid, this will help ease your mind. It kind of gives you a backup plan. If you don't need it, then don't take it. But I did it. So, and last but not least, decide before the date whether or not you want to tell them about your disease. You do not owe them anything just because they're taking you out for a fun time, or just because you feel like, oh, this is the first date, I really need to expose who I am as a person. No, you don't. Not right now. Like, it might not work out after the first date. Let's be realistic. If this person is shallow, then don't tell them. And the first date is kind of you guys testing the water and seeing whether or not you guys can have an open and honest, loving relationship. And so if you're very ashamed about your disease, which I do not believe you should be because it's not your fault, but if you feel that way, you don't owe that person anything, and you do not need to tell them about your disease. Okay? But I also think you should know that I decided to tell him. It was actually before the first date, because we were like in a mutual friend group when I first met him. But I was just like, yeah, I have Crohn's disease. And I don't really know how I got onto that topic, but I said, oh no, I said I brought my camera because I wanted to kind of show that you can have like a social life and be really like, and do really fun things in downtown Denver as a 22-year-old and not worry about your disease. And he was like, oh, that's super cool. And then on the first day, I kind of explained more about what I wanted to do and how Crohn's has kind of affected me. And he didn't look at me as somebody that was ill and that I'm damaged goods or anything like that. He looked at me as somebody that was a badass, which is awesome, you know? Like he's like, wow, you've really been through a lot, and no, not only that, but you're confident about your disease, you kick ass with your disease, and I'm determined to help other people with my disease, and that's pretty badass of you. And that was pretty cool to have him do the reaction. To be honest, I don't know if it's just him or general human beings, but I told him because I was very comfortable and confident around him to begin with. And I'm not saying that you're going to feel that way in every situation, but I had a really good experience. So those are my top 10 tips on dating with an autoimmune disease or an autoimmune illness. If you guys have any other ideas, please leave them in the comment section down below so we can just help each other out. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!